Well, I just want to welcome everyone. My name is Stephen Mattisio. I'm the Director and Chief Curator here at the Blaffer Art Museum. And welcome everyone. Thank you for being here for this month's edition of Convergence Research. And just as a very brief introduction, Convergence Research is a program that the Blaffer Museum and the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Center for the Arts collaboratively present. And it has been curated by my co-director at the Mitchell Center, Melissa Noble, who will introduce the artists tonight. But in short, we look for opportunities to present work by students or recently graduated students who are working in an interdisciplinary way. Sometimes the performances are finished, sometimes they're very much in process, but the Blaffer wants to operate sort of as a platform, as a support system, to cultivate and to promote this type of interdisciplinary activity and dialogue. And so we're really excited tonight because this evening features two recently graduated MFA students. And so I'm going to hand it over to Melissa to introduce Veronica and Marley.
Hello, so I'm Melissa Noble, the Managing Director of the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Center. And I just want to make a correction that actually this evening was curated by Caitlin B. Jones, who is over here. She is our graduate assistant from the Arts and Leadership program here at the university. And she put all of this together as part of her practicum, and she's done an amazing job. So I want to introduce the artists first and then tell you a little bit about how the program is going to go. I first want to introduce Marley Foster, whose video you will see here in a moment. Marley is an artist, designer, educator from Houston who creates sculptures and experimental performative portraits, reconfiguring clothing and domestic objects through Zillenial generational lens in order to subvert whiteness, conservative southernness, and traditional American femininity. She has BAs in studio art and English from Rice University, and she recently received her MFA in sculpture from the University of Houston, and her work has been viewed at the Annex Energy at Site Gallery Houston. She also teaches in the School of Art here at the University of Houston. And this video is called Notes on American Style. We will view this video in a few moments with sound, and then we will do a short Q&A that Caitlin will lead. After that, then we will lead you over to the next piece, which is Veronica Gaona. So I'm going to introduce Veronica as well here, and just so we can move over there and start her piece right away. So Veronica Gaona is an interdisciplinary artist and educator living and working between Texas and Tamaulipas. Through digital media sculpture and installation, her work looks at the shifting in multiple spaces of the border to better understand the complexities and contradictory forces. So she has been working, she has been published in the Critical Storytelling from Within on Borders, an anthology published by Brillsense, and then she will be exhibiting at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Tamaulipas in Amarillo, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Museum of Art, and she also teaches here at the University of Houston in the School of Art and the Interdisciplinary program. Her piece is called The Day Returned Back. So this piece is about 8 minutes or so, and then once we move over to the other site, that piece you are welcome to move between and move around. It is a temporal piece, so it will be about 45 minutes, and you do not have to sit and watch necessarily as you do in a performance like in a theater. Feel free to move around the space during Veronica's piece. And so,
maybe just for everyone standing, if you'd like to come in,
feel free to come and sit on any of these chairs if any of you would like to. And there's also a program that Marley has left here.
Maybe you can. There are chairs over here as well that you can turn around if you'd like to sit down.
Yeah, come over and we can even put some right here so people can. Thank you. All right, so we'll just turn on who's doing the sound in a moment. Okay, and then we'll alert you to the beginning of this, which Caitlin, do you know the beginning? You'll let us know. Yeah. So this piece is on a loop that we'll continue to play, but we'll tell you where the starting place is.
whiteness can be also. Both a performance, an addition to a body, a thing worn and used as a shield in a dangerous world. To have style is to live dangerously with intention and open eyes. Whiteness is a blanket that smothers in warmth. Whiteness is not art, but whiteness is performance. Whiteness is the color of my skin. It's an illusion of purity, associated with the God I used to believe in. Whiteness is quintessentially American. Whiteness is quote-unquote clean. Whiteness is attachment to the written word, a culturally accepted costume that we put on and may not ever be able to take off. Whiteness is a way of doing, a way of being. Whiteness is the Met Gala taking place outside a Black Lives Matter protest on New York City streets. So I have to ask again, if doing a dangerous thing with style is art, how do we define danger? Different bodies exist at different levels of comfort in different spaces at all times. Some always at more peril than others. Many, often, at more peril than my own. So, what is danger? And how does one approach it with style? Simply to exist in many spaces and in many bodies is a dangerous thing. Maybe style, and therefore art, is to own that risk and recognize the precipice on which one's body stands at any given moment.
No, since you want to play devil's advocate so much, go ahead.
Style is the answer to everything. It's a way of doing, a way of being done. Style is a fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing, and to do a dangerous thing with style is what Charles Bukowski calls art. I love the sentiment, but it begs the following question. What is dangerous? Walking out your door every morning is dangerous. If just to exist for many peoples and many bodies is a dangerous act, then some lives themselves are art. To be queer is art, to be not white and live in America is art, to be feminine is art. To be an artistic body in this way is to be on stage, and style is the tool with which we prepare. Style.
Help me pick a gala outfit.
Oh my god, I totally like it.
70s with Grace Lib. Run with fox leather. Help me pick a...
Style, then, includes but is not limited to the following. Style is a 27-year-old British man on the cover of Vogue wearing a lacy blue dress. Style is the way she put rollers in her hair in the hotel bathroom. It's a graceful crossing of long legs. Style is the Black Lives Matter protest held on New York City streets outside of this year's Met Gala. Style is light hitting apartment walls through south-facing windows in January. It's green, rainy sky. It's the slide of rings over my fingers in the morning. Style is splashes of ancestors in my own face. Mother's nose, grandmother's square jaw, father's eyes. Some days I wish I were a creature purely my own.
I am beautiful. I'm brave. I'm here to take up space, kick ass, and take names. Maybe I'm a lesbian, but that's a little secret for later.
It's a cut-off t-shirt over smooth skin, that little hollow some people have at the base of their thumbs. Style is seeing someone's handwriting for the first time. It's being 5'4", but carrying myself like I'm 6 feet tall. Style is slow. Style is self-aware, never self-conscious. Style is a decision, a daily commitment to the bid. Style is a walk, a clean smell, something beautiful that brushes past before your eyes can fully focus. The imagination of just how beautiful it might have been becomes irresistible and intoxicating. Style is rhythm moving in sync. Style is self-possessed, unembarrassed, vulnerably present, emotionally available, considered, yet playful.
And just now, internally, asking myself in quite a worried way whether I might have made an error. And just...
You're not very pretty, and you're not very bright. I'm so glad we had that time.
Style is an expensive watch or handbag whose cost can only be justified when worn by multiple generations. Style is strong hands moving without hesitation, sewing, cooking, cutting, waving, holding. Style is essential. Style is brown hair turned red by the sun. Style is knowing yourself and knowing how to show it. Style is a series of visual cues to find your people, a signal worn on the body. Style is rare, it is abundant, it is costume. Style is the clothes you throw on when you aren't expecting to see anyone. No matter how often you look otherwise, this will always be your baseline. Our unsurveilled moments are just as much part of our style as curated looks. If anything, they determine everything else.
Oh no, I'm online shopping again to try to fill the void inside of me. The words of capitalism have eaten my brain. Oh.
Style is the press of an iron on crisp fabric. It's tacky, it's queer, in that real, distinct style is always somehow subverting expectations. Style is temperature setting, reactionary, future-facing, political, personal, communal. Style is my pair of black cowboy boots that will never go out of fashion. Style is a verb. Something you have, something you do, something you are. Style is joyous, style is protective, playful, exploratory, not fussy. Style is feminist. To look good for the sake of it, for the love of it, is radical. Style is art in motion and intentional taking on of a dangerous daily existence. Style is imitated by many, possessed by only those who know what it is they risk. Style is glitter and feathers and everything garish. It's absurd, zany. Style is camp. Above and beyond everything else, style is committed to itself.
I don't want to go to the grocery store or to the gas station looking terrible. I don't want people to say, "Oh, you would not believe it. I hardly knew down the park. You would believe how she looked." I'd rather say, "Boy, she is the gaudiest person I have ever seen. She looked terrible, but she looked like God."
Many of these things that style is, whiteness can be also. Both a performance, an addition to a body, a thing worn and used as a shield in a dangerous world. To have style is to live dangerously with intention and open eyes. Whiteness is a blanket that smothers in warmth. Whiteness is not art, but whiteness is performance. Whiteness is the color of my skin. It's an illusion of purity, associated with the God I used to believe in. Whiteness is quintessentially American. Whiteness is quote-unquote clean. Whiteness is attachment to the written word, a culturally accepted costume that we put on and may not ever be able to take off. Whiteness is a way of doing, a way of being. Whiteness is the Met Gala taking place outside a Black Lives Matter protest on New York City streets. So I have to ask again, if doing a dangerous thing with style is art, how do we define danger? Different bodies exist at different levels of comfort in different spaces at all times. Some always at more peril than others. Many, often, at more peril than my own. So, what is danger? And how does one approach it with style? Simply to exist in many spaces and in many bodies is a dangerous thing. Maybe style, and therefore art, is to own that risk and recognize the precipice on which one's body stands at any given moment. What?
No, since you want to play devil's advocate so much, go ahead.
So what I do Hi.
So, first I want to congratulate you on working in a museum.
Thank you.
5 months after not making good work, but also congratulate you on your MFA.
Thank you.
And I want to talk about specifically this creation of this video, right? So you are a sculptor originally. What made you pivot into video, and what was kind of the inspiration for this specific work?
Yeah, so that's been a long time coming. In March of 2020, I shifted to making a lot of photographs. So I do have a background making objects. I love making objects, but for a very long time, for obvious reasons, we weren't looking at objects in spaces, we were looking at images. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about objects in images, and then images as objects, and showing images as objects. And so I was playing with photography for a long time, and at the same time, spending a lot of time on social media just in my personal life, and started making a lot of videos just for myself. Like I would record myself while I was making work, or while I was installing work, once we were able to install things again. Or just start taking little videos like for myself, just for fun. And I started thinking about, what happens if the video becomes the work. Like part of the reason I was interested in like shifting to photography from objects a year and a half ago is because I wanted to put my body in the work. I was making sculptures that suggested a body and suggested a human form, but there was no like actual human. And so I sort of started putting myself in the photographs, and then I think the video has sort of become an extension of that, where now you have my voice and my actions and my, living room, right, and all these other things.
So you talk about surveillance in the description, but also in the work, and it's really interesting to me that you chose TikTok as a platform for video. Can you talk a little bit about why TikTok was the chosen platform for that?
Yeah, so there are several answers to this question. So one of the reasons is I'm a big social media fan. I think it's very easy to write it off, but there's so much important culture producing where that happens on social media all of the time. And I'm really interested in that, and I'm also interested in the fun and playful element of it. That's not something I've ever really explored in my work, but at this point in time, I'm interested in sort of having a sense of humor and bringing that into the work. So I really like that aspect of social media. One thing about TikTok in particular is I've used it as a personal platform for a while now, and it's sort of this weird video diary thing where I put videos out there all the time, but I'm sort of just talking to the void. Most of the people that follow me there, I don't know in real life, we'll never meet in real life, and so there's this weird sort of freedom in that. So it's a very different experience, watching this here in a room with real people, some of whom I know and have relationships with. So those are things that I'm interested in exploring, but it's very, this piece is very new. So I want to keep investigating what this sort of platform has to do for video work.
In that investigation, are these videos pre-recorded and then you thought about the words you would say over, or were the words something that inspired what occurs in the video?
So all of the footage existed before the text, but the way that footage has been combined sort of happened after the text was written, if that makes sense.
Well, I will open it up to everyone else. Does anyone have any questions for Marley about the work?
Yeah, you mentioned Susan's on tags of race, Susan's on tags of Yankee Charles Bukowski style. Can you explain that a little bit, elaborate on that?
Sure, yes, okay. So one of the things that got me thinking about, or one of the things that led to this piece, was I heard an audio recording of Charles Bukowski reading his poem on style, and I enjoyed it, I was struck by it. I also enjoyed hearing his voice, and it's so different to hear a poem read out loud than to read it on page, right? And so I was interested in that. I have previously read Susan Sontag's Notes on Camp, and also Judith Butler's essay on gender performativity,
activity is another reason that I'm interested in TikTok, is because everyone's like performing all the time, but sort of for no one. And so I had read those texts, and I went back, maybe a month ago and reread all of them, and was sort of interested in responding to those texts, but not in an academic way. My first gut reaction was, oh man, I need to go write like an essay on this and do a bunch of research, because that's sort of my background is in academia. But the more I started to do that, the less that felt like sort of a genuine response that I was interested in. So I think I was attracted to those texts partly because in my personal life, I've spent a lot of time in the past 2 years thinking about clothing and style as they relate to like public presentation and existence in the world around other people. And so I started thinking about that in relation to like gender and body politics and race. And I think sort of a lot of those ideas are like mishmashed together in this video, at least for me. I hope I have answered the questions.
Any other questions? I think that's it. Thank you so much, Roy. This was wonderful.
Yes.
No hay que temer. right here. So Nudo is a dynamic sound art group between Joaquin, Tenorio, and Eric Hernandez, hailing from Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico, and Eagle Pass, Texas, USA, respectively. Their music was initially birthed from daisy-chained 4 tracks, countless YouTube pages being run through MaxMSP, border slang, cholo memes, Norteño culture, industrial and state mass manipulation, and the bittersweet reality of growing up on either side of the Texas-Mexico border. And so they were the ones who created this soundscape in collaboration with Veronica. And I would love to hear about the conversations that were going on as you're building this piece. There's a clear through line of labor throughout each of the 3 parts. And so would you mind telling us a little bit about?
Yes, so all the movements throughout were inspired by the remittance landscape that is experienced in migrant communities. And I'm exploring 3 phenomena that happen throughout these communities, which is labor in the host country, and the longing that is experienced by migrant families, and also the repatriation of bodies back home. And all of these is triggered by the wanting or the need to go and travel, not travel, but migrate to the host country to labor, right? So what pushes all of these phenomena is the longing to eventually return back at death, and so hence and the labor and the longing, and then the reputation with the dirt and the onions.
Can you talk a little bit about the onion? Right. So the watching you play was very mesmerizing. And there's something that you said about the parallels between the labor that we heard behind the plastic sheet and the labor of cutting the onion.
So the onion came about because when you cut onion, and once you start cutting onion, it's hard not to continue crying or tearing up, because the juices that are kind of expelled from the onion just produces a lot of tears, and so it's hard to hold back. And I thought that was like key from the experiences that migrant communities experience, and it's kind of an experience, but it's not really talked about. And so I wanted to materialize that, the feelings of longing, but also the desire to eventually come back to the homeland, even in life if it's possible, but in death as well. And so I'm talking about the labor that is produced, but also the remitting of cadavers back home, because cadavers are also remitted back home even after death. Just like money, a lot of migrant families work a whole lifetime in the host country, but then they only send money back to build a future eventually in the home country. And so a lot of the times that dream doesn't come true because of circumstances that happen, because of deportation, or because of situations, like a lot of families have mixed status families. And so there's a lot of consequences that happen. And so that dream of returning back doesn't fulfill itself. So with the onion, I kind of wanted to express that.
Joaquin and Eric, can you talk a little bit about, you're mixing these sounds live, correct? Can you talk a bit about that process, and also what about Veronica's performance are you feeding off of?
Well, almost everything that we do, it's improvised. And to be part of this, like, it was pretty, it excited me a lot, because I liked whenever we perform, it's almost like to make people dance and stuff like that. But in this case, it was really special, because it was gonna contribute for something artistic and to help Veronica with this. It meant a lot. With the sound,
she gave us concepts.
Yeah,
we just talked about it together. Like, what could the sound of like this feeling feel like? So she's like, well, here are the words that go over each section, and yeah, we have to imagine like what gives you the feeling that. I mean, something as casual as like cutting an onion or working. There's this like big sadness attached to it. So A lot of people like on their last rope all the time, just in terms of like living, and they kind of, it's very casual, like, I don't know, I feel like that culture has that where it's like, you're not supposed to talk about that aspect of it, the hard part, the painful part. So Veronica just sent us words, and then we had to come up with what that would sound like.
We ended up using a lot of sounds like that comes from construction, drills,
sheetrock being cut, saws, nail guns, hammers.
So the words of the music that we played, we used like acapellas, and then the meaning of those words is like they kind of want to go back to Mexico, or in this case Mexico. We use a song from this
comedian, like an internet comedian. His name is El Chaconcle. He's from San Antonio. He's just like a construction worker, and he just posts like vlogs all day of him like slacking off at work and like fooling around and like knocking people off, like I don't know, just doing like funny stuff. And we really like that idea that you can work and stuff, but you don't have to let it own you. And even though it does, you know, like Veronica says, like people work and send money to Mexico, building this like physical house, better life, that sometimes they die over here and they never get to that house that's always in like the perpetual future. Like it's just abstracted, you know, they die, maybe their bodies get there, but it's just like very ironic and very poignant, like very hard to think about. But we use that song, it's called Mis Tierras, and it's talking about like, oh, like I miss my home country, like
I feel like a coward because I left my grandma, my mom. And we kind of identify with his persona because he's like a construction worker and we both work as labor. But we do this like to fulfill our lives, you know, like to make art. And he does the same. He's like an artist, but he's like a construction worker. So we kind of identify with that.
And we use an audio where he cut his finger up, because he plays guitar and stuff too. He cut his finger, not off, but he like mangled it with a saw. And he's saying like, oh, like, I guess I can't play guitar anymore. Like, oh well, like, here, that's it. Like, no problems, go to the hospital. He's like making a joke of it. And that was like really painful to hear, because you know people that's happened to, where in their line of work, their bodies are totally given away, their best years of their life, just working. And so that's, yeah, we had very sad, the whole thing, right? But it's also joyous to be able to share it with y'all.
Well, I mean, at the end, hearing Amazing Grace was a little eerie.
Yeah.
I think after hearing all the questions, touched the sounds, but the song is still playing in my head. That'll be the last thing that we hear. I'm going to open it up to the audience if there's any questions for one of these amazing artists.
It's good, they understand everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Well, I have a question. I think in the promotion you talked about like rancheras playing in houses that are being built for other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like throughout your work there's like this hollowness, or like this sense of like voidness that like is also present in Veronica's work. I guess like just like thinking about that as like a sound, and like thinking about like all these other materials that you're working with, like I don't know, like how you like what is like your relationship to these objects, and like what do you think they're like speaking to? Like
we work like in Austin, like the west side, where there's a lot of construction being done, like 24/7. Like a lot of really nice houses, and like always in the distance you can hear corridos playing or rancheras, like always, like it's not any other type of music. So it's like this topography of woods and really nice houses up on stilts, like ultra modern, like Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock, like people live in those areas, and in the distance you can always hear that music playing, because that's who's building the houses, you know. And like it's like, it always kind of cheers you up, but it also makes you sad. It's not for you. Yeah, you're not building for yourself. You're working, and that's earnest and stuff. But the earnestness of the people is totally exploited. You know.
So it makes me think about how about the boys that you were talking about, or the work that you have and the work that I have. That there's this real material thing, concrete thing that I'm pointing to, referencing all the time, whether it's a house, whether it's land, or whether it's a gravesite, like a gravestone. But I'm also trying to point to the ephemerality of these constructions that are being built by laborers, because they don't get to experience them often. Like the house, they don't get to live in it sometimes, or where they're buried, they don't get to be buried back home. Or if they're in transportation, they have to be always on the lookout for cops. Or if they're traveling in different kinds of vehicle, or vehicles that are black, completely like opaque because of just safety. So there's this immaterial thing that I'm trying to get a grasp at and really understand in order to kind of just investigate all these
explore, yeah.
Like experiences that are felt.
It's not necessarily like a sad thing.
No.
It's just life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be victimized about it. There's nothing to be to feel pity about it. It's just how it is.
The name Nudo that we use is not. It's just not in Spanish, because we really like the border, even like contradictory in a contradictory way. Like even the things that seem exploitative and are very exclusive, or the laws that they're very severe, we like the culture that has sprung up there. So the good, the bad, like somehow it's resulted in something that we really love. And so you kind of have to, not necessarily celebrate it, but make sure even the tough, hard to think about parts are present, are represented somehow.
You have to accept it.
Yeah, exactly.
My other question was about the onions and spreading them or mixing them with
What's up with that?
I wanted to tie that the desire of returning back, that is the desire of returning back home. So if I could, I kind of wanted to explore how I tie the longing with the land. So the longing for me is the onion, and the land is the material itself. So that's why I combine both at the end, to express that how the longing of home drives everything. It drives labor, because you work a whole lifetime to eventually go back. What else? Just labor drives the longing of returning.
And just the tears make it back home sometimes, right? Like just what's left, the remains.
So overall, the longing drives everything. Drives labor, drives family to remit money back, and build futures.
If there are no more questions, then one more round of applause. Closing remarks.
Oh, no?
No? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For coming to Convergence Research.
I have one. Blaffer has something. Veronica, I have a question. Did you consider how onion would also create like a smelling effect?
Yeah.
So it like transcends. Being exposed to a smelling effect.
Yes, eventually, like I wanted some participants to start crying to tear up, but I didn't make anyone tear up.
That's why I stepped outside.
Yeah.
I looked through the glass.
Thank you.